Hello, everyone. My name is CGscrubs. Thank you for tuning in to the next episode of the Scrubs podcast. My name is CGscrubs. Today, I have a guest on for the third episode of the podcast. Please say hello.
Hi, it's Steph again,
Hello,
and I'm back,
hello,
and I'm
Steph.
excited.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you again for joining into the podcast. Glad you can make it. And today, we got a little bit of, saying something, we can all attribute to in our lives, like a little medium in the beginning, and then we're going to talk about something that may be a little bit controversial at the end, kind of like the last episode. That being said, thank you guys for those who listened to the last episode of the podcast. Those are the highest numbers, I believe, for both the YouTube version and the audio version, whether it be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you choose to listen to. That was the highest episode. Granted, I only have 2 episodes, but thank you guys for tuning in. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes of the podcast, be sure to check the link in the description below. It'll be anchor.fm/CGscrubs. There'll be links to the first and second episodes of the podcast and the YouTube version. If you are watching the YouTube version, just go to my channel. The first 2 episodes are also on there if you prefer that version. And other than that, let's get started with the third episode of the Scrubs podcast. And today in this episode, we're going to start a little bit with something that's, a bit mundane, but, something that we can get the ball rolling. Essentially just our favorite movies and how we feel, particularly with those movies and our fondest memories with them. And I'll let you have the floor here. Steph, what is some of your favorite movies and how do you feel of them as a whole?
Honestly, I really like classical movies, as dumb as it sounds. I like the Titanic, Gone with the Wind, stuff like that, because I just love how movies back in the day had just a storyline of how it was written. And a most recent movies that I've watched that literally have become my favorite, I might rewatch them, is literally the Back to the Future trilogy. One, because I love the story, I just love the style of it, and Spirited Away, which I'm kind of late to the anime, but I've recently been into anime, and literally Spirited Away has become one of my favorite movies, and I do see myself rewatching them. And if you guys have not seen any of those movies, I highly recommend it, because it's amazing. They have a good storyline, and just the aesthetic of the film itself. What about you?
I'm sorry, for me, so let me piggyback on what you said for a second. Yeah, I haven't seen those movies, though I heard there are classics in general, so maybe a chance for when I get the chance, I'll try my best to watch those movies. But as for me in general, movies, I'm a boy, so I like things with a little bit of action. I do like something like story driven, mainly story driven. I don't like really actiony movies because they're kind of boring to me. People are gonna crucify me for this, but I do not like John Wick. Those John Wick movies. Well, I only seen one of them. It put me to sleep because it was just all action. I like the choreography and everything in there. It's just not personally for me because it's really just all action. So I need a little bit of substance with my movies. You can mix in action, mix in actually story driven, like something that compels me to watch the actual movie. And I also like a little bit of comedy here and there, or comedy movies in general. Those are some of my favorites. And so for my favorite movies, I can't compile a top 10 right now just because there's so many movies in my back catalog that are just my favorites. So aside from the first 2 I'm going to mention, the rest are going to be sort of off the dome as to how grand these movies are to me. So the first 2 movies that I'm placing in my top 2 of all time, they're going to be The Dark Knight and Joker. A little bit biased because they're both DC Batman related, but I just love both movies. Their stories are tightly knit, specifically Joker, which I might put above Dark Knight for me personally, but I don't know, they're interchangeable. But both are great story, well driven. Uh, those are movies I basically never get tired of watching. And as for other movies, you can put like, I don't know, the SpongeBob movie on there. That's a classic. It's just hilarious all around. Going back to it, watching it as an adult, SpongeBob in general as an adult, it ages like fine wine. You got the Rush Hour movies. Those are classics. I'm waiting on the fourth one. Anything else? Anything else? The Star Wars movies, not all of them. You can probably just put like episode 3 on there and episode 5. Those are my favorites. And yeah, if you that's essentially it. You put like a if you want to categorize me as to like, if you pick out those movies, those essentially describe my sense of like, just basically my preference on how those movies in general. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. Any more that you want to give, or if you still want to expand upon those movies that you already enjoy?
Mm, I mean, there's like so many like classical like movies from Universal, like I mentioned before, like E.T. Love that movie. King Kong, which I prefer kind of the 2006 version. I don't know why. King Kong version movie. Um, just like movies like that, like old movies, like either from like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Like I feel like there isn't like a movie from now that I like really enjoy that I think I want to watch this. Like Joker, I love like how they incorporate like mental illness, like how stuff like that, because basically it just shows how like Joker became Joker, and it was a good movie, but I just don't see myself rewatching it. But there's like many movies like that that have recently came out that I'm like, okay, like I like the story, I like how they incorporate like important topics of like today into their movies, and like it starts up like important conversation. But like the ones who are like definitely like I see myself watching, I love the aesthetic of it, I like the story and everything, are definitely movies that are like old. And there's people that agree with me, there's people that may not agree with me. People might be like, oh my god, that's like so boring. Like literally I choose like, for example, like the Addams Family. Obviously, there's so many versions of the Addams Family, but like my number one like favorite version is the one that's literally in black and white. And so many people can like come at me and be like, those movies are boring because they're black and white and there's not much, you know, because obviously back in the day, technology to what we have now. But like literally, it's just how well made the stories were written, in my opinion. I feel like now like people just bounce off back and forth with like topics, or like they grab like this old movie and they make it into a modern version, and sometimes they mess up like the original story, and you're just kind of like messed up things like here and there, but it's alright because it's like a modern version. I don't know if like you agree with me on that, or
Like, are you saying like newer updated movies, like you would just prefer the older movies in general?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it would. I guess it would depend on the movie, because I'm sure, because like there's so many remakes coming out. It's like you have to question what was the point of bringing the remakes in. I'm sure just mainly for money reasons. But if you're gonna make a remake, are you going to expand or make it better? Like, for example, you know, those Disney movies that are coming out, you know, they're remaking into live action. I question why do it in the first place. But as long as they're enjoyable, I don't have a real problem with it. So like, for example, the Aladdin movie, it was okay. Like I enjoyed it for what it was. but the Lion King movie, I only watched like half of it before I just stopped, because not calling it bad or anything. It's just like I've seen the original line. Oh, hold up. Before I say anything else, The Lion King is probably one of my favorite movies, also, at least for Disney. But yeah, for the remake, I didn't finish it. It was like I found no point, because it was almost the same story except added a bunch of stuff that was unnecessary, and I feel like they butchered what made the original so great. Mainly the songs. Like, I remember "Be Prepared." It's one of the greatest Disney songs ever, and they just they made it like basura. It was just not good. Not even as good, just not good. At least from what I remember. But yeah, I think that movie's. I don't want to. Disgrace is a harsh word, but it's like, I find no point in bringing those movies back. Like, leave the past in the past, or at the or at most, you bring the original movie back and just update the graphics or something, like Blu-ray 4K it, but don't, just like,
let them be.
exactly, like, there's, I don't know, but it's money talks, and that movie made like at least $1 billion. I think it's one of the highest grossed animated movies. I think it's like at least top 5. I think right below Frozen 2 from last I remember. But I mean, money talks, so those movies are probably gonna get pumped out more. It's too bad, and it is what it is with remakes. But yeah, so as for your favorite movies again, did you have any specific memories you want to unlock with those movies, like things that help it propel it to be one of your favorite movies?
I mean, like, I don't really have like a memory that ties with it. I do, however, when I was my all-time favorite Disney princess was Snow White, and literally I grew up watching Snow White, literally from like VHS tapes all the way to like having like the Blu-ray version. Like, it was my all-time favorite movie, to the point where my parents, like, for Halloween, they bought me like the costume and everything. And after Halloween, I would play the movie and I would like act as Snow White. And although that's like kind of ridiculous, but then again, like, you're 5 years old, I bet people will be having like crazy stories, or being like, this is something like weird I used to do as a kid. That's like the fondest memory I have over the movie. Is like, literally I pretended to be Snow White, and like, that's like the fondest memory I have of a movie. Like, it was my all-time favorite movie, and I was just obsessed with it. And it's kind of sad how like now, like, I just remember having, I don't really like go back and like watch Snow White, because like I said, I've seen it over and over again, like so many times, that I don't really care to watch it. But that's like a memory I can think of that is so fond to a movie.
Like, I can give 2 examples. Let's going back to Joker. That movie, I had no expectations beforehand, other than I just hoped it would be a good movie. But I'm not sure if you like remember the rollout of that movie. Like, everyone was criticizing it before it came out, saying, "Oh, there's gonna be like school shootings or shootings in general. Like, people are gonna go crazy in the streets." Like, it was just like mass media scare beforehand with the movie, and it's like, it was like so pointless. Like, y'all just did that for tabloids, like to get people to go on your websites or whatever, tune in to the news, whatever. Like, why can't we just enjoy the movie for what it was, or is going to be at the time? It was just pointless. But it generated enough hype, I guess. Like, it brought attention. Like, all publicity is good publicity, so it helped the movie, I guess. That because obviously because it's the first R-rated movie to get $1 billion in the box office. But I remember going into the theater, and beforehand, like, or before I saw the movie, there was a sign saying for Joker, "Hey, this is not meant for kids, so parents be wary," or whatever. I'm just like, dog. That was the first time I saw that for a movie. I'm like, you should just done that for all rated R movies if that were the case, but specifically for Joker, because the media pushed it to be like something that it could be like, it could be like crazy, like people watching the movie. Uh, I don't know, people are gonna go crazy in the streets or be like Joker or whatever. I'm like, that's not gonna happen realistically, or if it does, that person was already mentally disabled to begin with, so you can't blame the movie for that. That's another conversation we should probably have once another time, like media, video games, and like
Oh,
people, like how
it
it
affects
correlates,
people.
yeah, how it correlates to people or whatever. That can be another time, another podcast episode. But yeah, when I saw the movie, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, there's nothing making me think that someone is going to be like the Joker. Joker's experiences were so unique. I'm not saying someone can't have those similar uh like issues that Joker had, but it was to the extreme in that movie. So like I'm just glad that the movie came out how it was. And like I just love that movie, man. Like, uh, acting was amazing. The plot, like, twists a little here and there, was just great. The ending was fire. So I don't like, I really didn't like how in before the movie came out, people were just like hating it already. I'm like, you didn't even give it a chance. Uh, but it sucks for those people that just naturally assumed that it would cause hysteria, and shame on. It's actually kind of a shame that you would sort of elicit that it would happen. Like, it's like semi promotion that it could happen type of thing, because someone could have been look at the news like, you know what, I wasn't gonna do that watching the Joker movie before I watched the Joker movie, but the news is giving me an idea, so why don't I shoot up a theater or whatever, bro. So shame on them. But we're in.
Another thing too with the Joker is like, obviously, over many years as the Joker has ever been like created, like the character, so many people have played Joker and like done their like own version, and like they've done like their own like interpretation of what the Joker is to them. And like Joaquin Phoenix literally like had so much pressure on him, and like he obviously went to the extreme to play this role. Like literally this man has lost so much weight to the point where like it was unhealthy for him to be that low in weight. And I think he did a great job, okay? But then
Yeah.
everybody else is like, you're not Heath Ledger, you're not, I forgot who else. I think it's Jack Nicholson. They're like, you're not Jack Nicholson, or you're not Mark Hamill. Like all these amazing actors that have like made Joker, like their own version of Joker. They've like compared it to him, and it's like, yo, every actor has gone to some sort of extreme to do their own interpretation of Joker. And Joaquin Phoenix, like, he did like a good job. Obviously, before him, it was like Jared Leto, which honestly, I don't like Suicide Squad for the reason, because like I think Jared Leto took it way too far, and like he overacted the Joker in such a weird way, but like that's how the movie is. But like I feel like he got so much crap, and it's like, yo, like this movie is supposed to be like how Joker became the Joker, literally how his life was before he became the Joker, and like I think he made an amazing job of interpreting the Joker in that way. And so many people gave him shit for it just because all these previous actors who like made Joker, they're like, you're not as good as them. Well, first of all, there's like I feel like that's enough pressure as it is, because like how else are you supposed to interpret Joker? How else are you supposed to make it your own version, so that when people be like, "Oh, I like this version, like this version," like I don't really understand that. with a character like Joker, where there's so many like versions of him that like people are like always comparing. Like I don't understand why people gotta compare like how actors take like the same character and make it like their own interpretation.
Right. So going so yeah, like it's just for walking yeah so I'm very curious as to where you saw those negative comments, because almost I saw from what I saw it was almost nothing but positive for Joaquin Phoenix for his Joker portrayal, and I think he did an amazing job, like you said, like I think what most people say, those that you said were hating, like, or just saying like, oh, you're not as good as this Joker, like just be glad that he did a great job in general. Like, yes, there are many interpretations of the Joker, you can have a preference, but like don't be so negative as to say like, oh, you're not as good as Mark Hamill or Heath Ledger. Like, just be like, oh, he was another great addition as someone who's interpreting the Joker. I think he did an amazing job. He's probably my no, I can't say it's my favorite. Oh man, comparing him and Heath Ledger, because those are my favorites. Uh, Dang man, it's really hard to say. Because basically they're both different Jokers. One's an origin story and one's living his Joker life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think both did a great job interpreting each side of Joker. So I don't understand why people can't just be happy with that. Just be glad we got these amazing Jokers, and that we have these amazing actors to portray these characters. That being said, rest in peace, Heath Ledger.
Of
Uh,
course.
but yeah, definitely, man. I just love Joker, man. And my other example, for the what's it called? What was I? What was I saying?
Um,
I'm sorry.
you're gonna talk about the second fond memory you have.
Yeah, second prime memory. So it's sort of piggybacking what you're saying, like how you watch Snow White and you dress her just as a prefer for Halloween or whatever. Uh, just basically for me, like I'm a big Power Rangers fan. I enjoyed watching those movies. So I pretended to do like high kicks, high flips, pretend to morph or whatever. That was my childhood. Yeah, I probably should have said that first because that was pretty quick. But yeah, that's definitely a fond memory. Just like watching like the Power Rangers movies, just like pretending I'm like saving the world or whatever. But yeah, shout out to our favorite movies, bro. They can just be so impactful and just like improving our mood. I can't say like now because for now, like I can't pick so many favorite movies. Again, I would have to compile like a whole list, and for those movies, like I can't just randomly pick a day. It's like I'm just gonna watch this all the time. But like when I do find the time to watch it, when I'm in the mood, I'm more than likely going to enjoy it like how I did, if not even more, because I'm interpreting it better than I have beforehand, because my mind develops. I'm enjoying things and interpreting things better than I did when I was a child. Like, say if I go back to, again, like I said with SpongeBob, I knew it was amusing to me as a child. I couldn't pinpoint why. Going back to it as an adult, it's one of the greatest cartoons ever. The jokes just hit different. Ages like fine wine, and I would like to go back to majority of those movies, see how my brain interprets them now. But regardless how I feel now with them now, I'm sure they're still going to be my favorites overall, especially with Joker, because that's a more recent movie. So but yeah, the same for you. Like, how would you say if you like go back to your old favorite movies, assuming you have a different mindset, will they still be your favorite regardless if your opinion changed?
I think so. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that I did not understand as a kid, or like it probably went over my head. And I feel like if I were to watch like my favorite movies, and like obviously you have such a different mindset, and like you understand more the older you get. I feel like I'm going to like understand like inside jokes or like stuff like that from the movies, or like say they say something and like obviously you take it one way as a kid, but then as an adult, you're like, oh, that's what they meant. So I feel like there's gonna be a lot of that. But if they're my favorite movie, as they were as when I was a kid, I am not sure. Because like I said, there are some movies where I can rewatch over and over again, and I will never get bored. And then there's other movies where I'm like, okay, once is enough. So
Right.
yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our favorite movies. They're there when they're there when they're there for us. Much love to them. But yeah, I think that's we beat that conversation dead, dead to the dead to we did. It's over. Let's go to our next topic. You want to start it off? It was before I actually start off the next topic. This is gonna be a more controversial topic, hot topic type sort of thing. Our opinions are our own. You can have your own opinions. We can have a healthy discussion about it if you would like. Just be respectful with one another. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that disclaimer. And essentially, what this new topic is going to be based around red flags. And since you wanted to bring about this topic, Steph, please elaborate on what you mean by red flags.
Obviously, like you know my personal life. I've am probably like the expert of ignoring red flags, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a friendship. And I just really wanted to talk about this because I wish I've had somebody who has been through things and be like, listen, I went through this. Here's a red flag. If you see it, just be careful. Like, don't entirely dismiss the person because obviously there's 7.5 billion people on this earth and each and every one of them functions in their own way. But like, I feel like there's a lot of like common things that people gotta worry about. And I think I've had enough experience in ignoring red flags and dealing with people who are very toxic. Like I had very toxic relationships and friendships, and I'm here to like at least give a little bit of that knowledge to help somebody out there.
All right, and since I don't really have much to say on that, like for me specifically, I haven't I haven't experienced what you really experienced, so I can only give my outside point of view as to this sort of thing. So I hope I can be as cautious as I possibly can with this because I don't want anyone thinking that just because I'm like I don't because I'm not fully into seeing or been having red flags, that doesn't mean I don't care. So what I'm saying, if I do say something that's off, please forgive me. Like I haven't experienced what has Stephanie experienced, so bear with me. I'm just giving my own interpretation.
Um, Honestly, that's completely understandable. Like I feel like I've gone through way too much to sadly understand like all the red flags that some people may possess, and if I can spread that knowledge to other people, then it's okay. Like I've already gone over these situations. I'm still healing from these situations, but I like teaching people and I like helping people out. And if this helps any of you guys out there, then that makes me happy because that's all I want to do. I just want to help people and avoid situations that I have. So, yeah. So, which one do you want to start first? Relationships or friendships?
You can start with friendships, because I think I'd be more well versed in that, if anything.
Okay. Friendships. The number one thing that I've notice in like a toxic friendship is if like say you want to do something, like you have this goal and you explain it to your friend or your group of friends, and if they're so like against it, or if they're like, I don't think you should do it, or that's a waste of time, or like all this, just giving you like negative like energy and like not supporting you, I think that's like a red flag because I had a group of friends where like anything school related, I would always like go to them and be like, hey, I want to try to do this or I want to join this. And they would always be like, I don't think you should. Like, that's such a waste of time. Like, you're not going to get anything out of it. And they would always like talk down on the idea of me doing it. And that was like the first negative thing I've noticed about them was they would always like down talk like anything that I wanted to do or that I wanted to like join or like stuff like that. So like if you just have like friends who like don't support you at all, like I can understand if you're about to do something stupid and they're like, yeah, you should not do that. Like that's not a red flag. That's them trying to get you out of trouble. That's them like protecting you and trying to like avoid any situation that could end up bad. But like if it's something good, like say you want to go to the gym or you're like, I want to join this club, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's all like good and you're not hurting anybody, you're not hurting yourself, you're not putting yourself in danger, and they're just downplaying on that and they're just be like, you shouldn't, it's a waste of time type of talk, then I don't think they're your friends. I just think that's toxic in a way. If you have anything to quote on that.
Yeah, so with me, uh, I definitely agree. Like for stuff that's supposed to like the end result's supposed to be positive, I don't see why someone would just downplay you wanting to do it because I just don't get it because like yeah, it might be hard and like for say if I want to be an astronaut, it's something positive. So why won't you just uplift me and try to push me to want to be an astronaut if I wanted to be? I don't see why you just be like, oh, I don't think you should do that because this, that, and the third. Like, I don't see any point in doing that because that's just like hindering. That's limiting. You're limiting what I could do essentially. Like, if I want to shoot for the stars, I'm gonna aim for the moon at least. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. Yeah, so definitely like when it comes to something positive, people should always try to reciprocate. Because that if not, then you're just diminishing what one could do, and it's just gonna diminish like not only that person but the friendship as well, because that's just gonna lead into like for that person specifically, it's gonna be like, man, I could have done this or that there, but like people putting you down or whatever. But yeah, it's honestly too bad that like people think like that. My fix, however, is I don't tell people what I'm doing. It's for me, I like to live my life where it's like it's none of your business what I'm doing. So if I put my mind to something and I feel like it's positive, I'm gonna do it. Because like because my life is my life. You can live how you live. I honestly don't care what most people do with their lives. So why should I care what someone thinks about my life? So I don't tell people what I'm doing. Like I move how I move. Then you don't see the end result though. And then if y'all doubted me before, just wait. It's tough.
Like I finally have that where it's like I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do and do whatever makes me happy. And like for example, like the gym, I joined the gym. You see me post here and there, like me at like this is what I'm listening to at the gym, but like I never post like kind of like progression pictures because at the end of the day, there's gonna be somebody be like, "Why are you at the gym? You just wasting your time," or like some stupid comment like that. And like I just now like closed in on like things like that. Like I just like I only go to like the only time I ask for like advice on what I'm doing is if there's somebody who has either gone through it, is going through it, and like they can be like, listen, this is like what happened to me, this is my advice, this is what, like if you do this, this might happen. Like they're just giving you advice. They're not being like, you shouldn't do that because it's a waste of time, or like downplaying on like your goal and everything. Like that's a completely different story. Like you probably want advice, you probably want like a different perspective on something, and so like you ask somebody who can kind of relate to you in that aspect, or like is kind of focusing on like a similar goal to you. But yeah, like I'm like now learning to have that. Like there is gonna be one point in time where you're going to see like the end result, and it's gonna be like this big surprise. You didn't even know that I was working on it. Yeah, I can like understand that.
Yeah, definitely just looking for positive people. Essentially, like when I the very few times I post like on social media, luckily I don't. I keep like essentially a small circle, like not too many people around me like that. So like I generally keep myself around positive people. So like if I post something, I see like a bunch of people like uplifting me. It's like, okay, I see you, CG Scrubs. You know what I'm saying? You put in that work. I'm like, yes sir. Nothing but up from here. You feel me?
Mm.
So yeah, it's in general, I would advise people, if possible, just surround yourself with positive people. Just remove all that negativity, however you can. I know it might be hard, but you know, eventually that step has to be taken, or else you're gonna fall off that step, and like you're gonna fall face down on the floor or whatever, bro. Because I do not like I cannot imagine keeping toxic people around like that, because they're just like I would get in the situation how it would be, because you probably might not know, and even if you do know, it might be hard to get out of it. But I would just obviously hope the best for the best in that situation, where you obviously leave that toxicity behind, so you can just find more positive influences.
Exactly. Like this goes for both like friendship and relationships. And even people that like you're not in a relationship with but you're like talking to. The number one thing that I've learned that is like if I am not comfortable to talk to you, if I have to try hard to have a conversation with you, if I have to completely like switch my personality or like how I am so that I can have a decent conversation with you or I can like get along with you. That's another thing. That's like a red flag. Okay, like me, like I've gone through so many friend groups. As bad as that sounds, but like I've gone through so many friend groups. I've had 6 very toxic relationships. And they all have been like I have to like change how I talk. I have to change how I be sometimes. Or like, for example, like I struggle with anxiety. Like anxiety is probably like the number one thing I struggle with, and thank God it's gotten better. But like in the past, I would get like panic attacks, or like I would like tell these people like, hey, like I'm feeling this sort of way and I don't understand why. And like literally they wouldn't understand, but like I can understand if you are like, I don't have enough knowledge on this, so like please excuse me if I'm like kind of ignorant to how to react. No, they would just be like, oh, just get over it. Like how am I gonna get over it? Or like it just like why would you say that to somebody who has an issue that they always struggle with, and they are like trying their hardest to control it? You know, like I've recently gotten out of a situation where this person literally was like the most hypocritical person I've ever met. Like they would constantly be like, you need to do better, you need to grow from your past experience, you need to stop dwelling on the past. But then they would do the same. Like literally it was worse. And if you constantly have to like, I don't know how to put this, but like, if you constantly have to like struggle to like have a good conversation, or you struggle in trying to like be like, okay, how am I going to go about this conversation, or how am I going to act with this person so that they're comfortable, or that they don't take things away, or like if you constantly have to question a bunch of things, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, or somebody you're talking to, I highly recommend you leaving them, because it's gonna make a lot of conflict. There's gonna be a lot of like misinterpretation. It's gonna like end up in so many arguments that are not even gonna take you anywhere. You're just gonna be like upset and like confused most of the time, and like, yo, like you don't need that toxicity. You don't need to like put all your energy into that. Like, coming from somebody who's dealt with that for so long, like there would be times where like I wouldn't even want to talk to the person, because I'm like, everything I say is wrong. Everything I do is wrong. Like, if they tell me be this way and I would be that way, they would be like, why are you like that? Don't act that way. So I was always confused, and like, I don't need that toxicity. I don't need to deal with that. And like, that's like, I need to put my energy in something else. I shouldn't be wasting my energy on somebody like that. So that's another thing too. That's like, if you constantly have to question your actions, you gotta question your words, you have to like just do all this extra energy, like all these extra stuff too, where you have to put your energy into, just leave. Like, let that person be. Because like, if they're not putting in the effort, why should you? You know? So
Right. So essentially, with that, like, again, I haven't been in like, I haven't had like an experience like you had, but I would so like, for me, when it comes to that, like, I wouldn't switch anything about me unless I know it's like actual constructive criticism. Like, you're not like that, the like the other person in the relationship would like say something. If I feel like it's valid, I'll improve. I'll try to improve, because that's just who I am. I try to improve whenever possible. I'm not trying to stay stuck. You feel me? But if it's something invalid where I feel like I feel like it's them just lashing at me, like there's no reason for them to say that, I'd be like, why? What's wrong with you? Like, what's up with you in your life where you have to like spout like crap at me, where it's like it's irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's like it's crappy in a sense. Like, I can't imagine me, because again, I keep a small circle. So if I do venture out, it's mainly with people who associate with people in my small circle, because you're judged by the company you keep. And for the most part, I would say the people I still consistently talk to, they're essentially good people. At least to my knowledge. They could be drug dealers for all I know. I don't know, but they could live a double life. That wouldn't be my problem.
This time and age, we don't know. Like, you look at somebody and be like, oh my god, they're this way, but they can be completely different when you're not in the present.
Yeah, at that point, I applaud the mindset again. Mind my own business. If they do end up doing stuff like that, that's a them problem. But I'm again, for the most part, I'm sure that's not the case. And with those type of relationships, yeah, I'm glad with you. You eventually, took the high road and just like left those situations. Yeah, so I'm glad that you didn't stay with them, because that's just gonna deepen like levels of toxicity that could just like spiral out of control, and that would not be good for you, your soul. It just It's just not it. Toxic people need us, like, I don't know, like the toxic trait needs to die off. Not the jokes though. I love future jokes. But like actual toxic people, nah. Like it's is not cool to
Like,
put it simply.
also another thing too, like I used to be somebody who I would try to like work things out with these toxic people. You know, I've always tried to be like, okay, why are they treating me like this? Why are they like for example, like in one of my relationships, this person would always like when we would get into an argument, say like I'd be like, you did something that I don't like. The very first thing that they would always be like was like, well, you're always in a shitty mood, so I don't know what to tell you. It's like, yo, like, what the heck? Also, another thing too that I've noticed what is if you're apologizing to somebody and you say, I'm sorry, but nah, don't believe them. Don't believe their fake apology because they're not apologizing. You shouldn't be like, I'm sorry, but, and then give an explanation and like reason and find a good reason on why you acted the way you did. Like, just apologize, just own up to it. And like, so many people that I've dealt with have always had that fake apology, and I can't stand it. Like, I'm just like, just own up to your crap. Like, just own up to what you did, okay? Like, you did this and this and this and this. Just own up to it and apologize, or at least be sincere about it, or be considerate of how I felt, you know? And like, yeah, like if they're constantly like putting the blame on you, or like when they apologize, they're like, I'm sorry, but like you did this or you did that. That's not a sincere apology. Like at this, like don't even believe that person. Just be like, you know what, it is what it is. And like I used to try to like fix like whatever the heck I had with these toxic people, and it would be so like draining. Like I'd just be like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And so recently I was in this toxic bond with somebody, and I just decided to up and leave. And like to so many people that can be like immature, and to other people they'd be like, yes, you just up and left. I upped and left because this person literally would not give me the time of day. They would literally answer my text messages like 7 hours later. And I was like, you know what? You're not putting in the energy. Why should I put in the energy? And I didn't speak to them for 2 weeks. And like, I was in the most peaceful mood ever because this person wasn't, well, they were technically not in my life. Like, I was like, oh, so this is how it feels like to be peaceful and to not have somebody like have this weird like they want you one day and then the next day like pretend like they don't know you. Like I was at peace. And for some odd reason they just want to come at me and like be very like passive aggressive with me and be like, oh, like why'd you stop talking to me? It's like, yo, why do I need to put in the effort if you're not putting in the effort yourself? Like it doesn't work that way. And it ended on a terrible note. Like I don't even speak to this person. I can't even like look at this person without being like, it didn't need to end this way. You could have left it how it was. But no. And so like I just now realized like I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if this is what I attract. I literally do not ask for any of the crap that I've went through or like some of the things that I've been going through. Like I literally don't ask for it. I'm just like I just want to be at peace. I want to be like just have the people in my close circle with me because I know that they love me and they like enjoy my company and they enjoy talking to me, and I know that like no matter what they'll always be there for me, and like I'm at peace with that. But like there just be random people who like want to come and like be all like nice and whatever. I'm like, okay, I give them a chance, and that's when they want to switch up. Like they want to show like their true selves, and like the moment I leave, they want to make it a bigger problem. And it's like, yo, like if you just up and leave, like yeah, that can be immature in some aspect, but like I said, why are you gonna continue putting in energy into something if it's not the same, like going back to you, you know? Like why should I put so many energy into a person if that person is not like giving me back that same energy or that same attitude? Like it gotta be 50-50. It don't matter if it's a friendship, it don't matter if it's a relationship. Like it always gotta be 50-50. And the number one thing that like I've learned is respect. Please respect people because respect gets you like and like you go a long way with respect. You respect people's boundaries, you respect people's beliefs, you respect them as if like you don't throw stuff in their face. And I've had people who I've told them things that I've never ever spoken about. And literally, as we're fighting, they throw it in my face as if that doesn't hurt me enough. Like, I'm already trying to heal from that. And you want to, like, bring it up and throw it in my face. No. Like, you can tell me the most traumatic thing ever. And if we ever get into an argument, I'm not going to throw that in your face because it's something traumatic. You went through something traumatic. You're probably still healing from that. Why do I need to bring it up in an argument and throw it in your face? Like, no.
Yeah, like unnecessary.
It's very unnecessary. And, like, that's just shows how disrespectful you can be to somebody. And, for example, like, don't insult people, okay? Like, just I don't know. I don't understand why communication is such an issue nowadays. Like, why can't y'all just talk and sit and like communicate? I know that's such a cliche to say. Like, communication is key. Yo, it is key. Like, if y'all just sit down and calmly talk about the problem, calmly be like, okay, this is what's going on. Like, how do you feel? How do you interpret it? And like, you'll go a long way. But if you're like insulting one another, you're throwing things in each other's faces, y'all ain't gonna get anywhere. So like the number one thing that is going to take you far in life is respect. Like I know that nowadays some people don't be respecting other people and it's kind of upsetting. But if you maintain that, like eventually like there's gonna come to a point in time where people are gonna be like, you know what, like I was being disrespectful to this person and this person wasn't being disrespectful back, and like that's and like why do you think the world is how it is? Because we be lacking respect, we be disrespecting people, and like now look at the world, now look where we are. So yeah.
Yeah, it just both parties. So basically both parties, i.e., you and person you're dealing with, you both have to be willing to try to compromise and willing to understand and see each other's perspective, and then just grow from there. From your experiences, it seems like you're willing, but they're not, and honestly, that's too bad. It sucks for them. To not have them, like they're just not mentally capable of doing such things, I guess. Kind of tough. But yeah, the root of the problem, the root of the problem can be solved through communication. I feel communication leads to better understanding with one another, and then go from there. And hopefully the best outcome comes out of it. And I would say from your situations, the best outcome is just like you just don't interact with them anymore, because clearly they weren't trying to level with you. Like they're just stuck in their own world, and that's honestly too bad.
Like, I think like the people that I've dealt with in my life are very selfish, and it depends how selfish, like the type of selfish you are. Like if you're selfish in the sense of like, for example, like my brother told me this one day. He's like, I'm a selfish person in the way that like I have goals and like I want to achieve them. So I'm not gonna like get into a relationship because I'm not gonna like give them the attention that they deserve. Like I'm gonna be focusing on myself and like whatever I need to heal from and like whatever I need to work on, like I'm gonna put my full attention into that. But I'm not gonna get into a relationship because that person is not gonna get the attention that they deserve. That is amazing. Like I wish people were like that. Like I wish like people would be like, I'm not gonna go into something with somebody because I still have things to work on myself. Like I have my own issues, I got my own problems, and I gotta situate them first before I go jumping into something with somebody. No. The people that I have dealt with are so selfish to the point where they come to me and be like, this is my problem, help me solve it. And I'd be like, first of all, I don't understand like where you're coming from. I've never been in this type of situation. I've never been, like I got my own problems, but like I'm not being like, I have my problems. Help me come solve it. Like, no, like you're not gonna understand what I'm going through or what I'm healing from. Because like, for example, right now, I'm focusing on like my gym journey. I'm focusing on like healing. And I'm like talking to somebody. And I told this person, I was like, listen, I'm working on this. And they're like, that is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Take your time and everything. Like it's a whole different like attitude. Like they respect that, and they're like, you know what? It's me too. I got things I gotta work on, and so like I don't think we're like in the best like situation to like start something. And like you both address that you guys are not capable of like being in a relationship because you guys both have stuff that y'all are working on. In my past, I would like be in a relationship with somebody who has all the issues and they're like, I need to focus on myself, but like also like you need to help me solve my problems. And it's like I can't understand where you're coming from because I've never been through what you're going through. And when I would ask for like, just somebody being there for me and like trying not to understand what I'm going through, but to at least listen, the first thing it's like that comes out of their mouths is like, well, you need to like fix yourself first and then come back to me. Like what? Like that's not helping. I just asked for you to listen to me and to hear me out. I didn't ask you to like help me solve my problems. Like I didn't be like, yo, this is my problems, solve it for me. Like no. Like and like they can't even like put the same energy back. Like they're like very selfish and they're like, well, I have all these problems. I have this. I struggle with this. And, like, you don't even understand. It's like, excuse me. You can't like sit down and like if you want me to understand, at least like sit down and like talk to me and like help me understand you, you know? And like but they're like very selfish and like they think the world revolves around them and like they got like they can say whatever, they can do whatever and it's not gonna affect the person that they're with. And I can't stand that. Like if you're like that, do not go into a relationship. Like please. Like if you're very selfish to the point where like you just say things and you don't see how it hurts the other person, don't get into a relationship. Do not like just no. Because like you're being very selfish to the point where you're not even considerate of the other person's feelings. So like, and another thing too is like there are some people who are selfish with their needs. I understand, like it's part of our biology to have needs, but like I said, respect the boundaries. Ask first, and if they say no, it means no. And like there's so many ways that no means no. Okay, maybe they're like, I don't feel like it, I don't want to do that, I'm uncomfortable, or not. Like no, like just respect it. Like I don't care if you're like very like, you know, have the urge with these needs. Like you need to respect people and your boundaries, and you need to respect when somebody doesn't want to. Like don't be selfish and then just keep pushing the person to do it until they're like, okay, fine. Like I can't stand that. Like I don't like when people are like that, and like I think people should stop being so selfish because like you can really damage somebody. It don't matter how. It don't matter with your words. It don't matter with your actions. Like if you're very inconsiderate about people in general, I don't think y'all should be in a relationship. I don't think like like no. Y'all need to like focus on yourself first. And if you think that you're like, okay, I want to be with somebody, I want to give them the attention they deserve and like everything, go for it. But if you're not, don't do it. You can really damage somebody, believe it or not. I actually went on a whole tangent. I am so sorry.
It's all good. Let it all out. Just, you know what I'm saying? It brings good perspective. And with me, again, I don't really experience red flags like that. Just from the outside looking in, definitely, yeah, with those, you know, toxic people, I would say to you, work on yourselves before you know, try to get in a relationship, or else you're just gonna multiply the toxicity to another level. That being said, because I don't know what goes in the mindset of a real toxic person. So I don't know if you guys are even capable of trying to understand and do better. I would hope so. I'm sure for toxic people in their current state they're not, but you know, if you are willing to do better, I don't know how long that would take, but it's gonna take some. So it's probably gonna take some time for you. So you know, just don't rush into things until you know for sure, like you're only gonna better someone else's life and not ruin it. Because another thing too is like say like they don't even know they're toxic, and they just want to go into a relationship to fill some sort of void. That's a toxic trait in of itself. Like don't seek someone else's attention just to try to fill your own void. You got to work on yourself in a sense. Like pretend for a second that you'll never like date someone, or like, you know, get married or whatever. Pretend for a moment. Would you be okay with that? Like would you be okay with in your life that like no, like you won't have like a spouse or whatever, like you'll just live on and just do you? Like obviously you would want a spouse, but like would you be okay if you didn't? I feel like the answer should be yes, because that means you love yourself enough to continue on. If you need someone to love you for you to love yourself, then that's not good. At least that's how I see it.
Exactly. And like, for example, I know we're talking about red flags, but like I think like everything that we're talking about kind of like relates to it almost. But I was watching this video, and like this person like asked the YouTuber if she's a jealous person. And she's like, I'm not a jealous person. If I have to be jealous, if or like if I feel jealous, or like it's because I'm insecure. It's because I have this issue that I need to work on. Because like obviously it's like if you have to get jealous or like you get jealous of either your partner or of a friend, or like for example, I have people who have told me I'm so jealous of you because you like you do so well in school, or you do this in school, or like stuff like that. But they don't say it in like a nice way. They say it as almost like an envious way. And it's like, okay, I know what I do to be good at school. I know what to do to get good grades in school. I work my ass off. Like you, you know, you have literally been like with me when I'm like studying with our other friend. Like you know how much work I be putting into school. And when somebody tells me that, it be people that they don't even put in the effort to like do better, or like to be like, you know what, I'm a like study hard, I'm gonna do very well in class to like at least get a good grade in my class. Like those are things you gotta work on yourself. And like same with like a partner. Like if you get jealous of your partner, or like say like for example me, if I'm dating somebody and a girl is talking to my man's and I get jealous, that's because I'm insecure. That's because I'm like having all these like insecurities, being like, oh, this girl is prettier than me, so like my man's might leave me for this girl, or this girl is better than me in certain aspects and my man might leave me for her, or he might compare me. Like no. Like she said, like that is something that you have to work on yourself until you're just like, you know, you fully like trust the person, or you feel secure about yourself. Like that is something that like I've always struggled with, because like I said, I've been in 6 very toxic relationships. Either they cheated on me, they treated me terribly, they have done both, or they put me down, or like they feel like made me insecure, whether about my body or the way I looked or just stuff like that. It's because I had a problem of self love. Like I need to work on that first. And now like I love myself to the point where if I'm dating somebody and like if they want to be with somebody else, if they want to cheat on me and like be with somebody else, it's like, okay, you're lost, not mine, because I know what I bring to the table. Like, I know that I'm an amazing human being and that I have pure love for anybody who reaches to that level with me. So, like, if they want to cheat on me, so be it. I really don't care. Like, I don't care. It just shows that, like, I deserve way better and that I love myself to the point where it's like, that is your loss, not mine. Because literally, I'm a very genuine person and you just lost somebody amazing. So, so yeah, like all of that, like you gotta work within yourself and you have to like love yourself to the point where if you ever date somebody, or like if you have this friend, you have to like, if anything happens to the point where like one day they will never be in your life again, you gotta be like, okay, I don't care. Like I enjoyed our moments, I enjoyed like the time we spent together, but like I really don't care. And it is what it is. And that maybe sound way too cold to people, but like you have to have that energy, you know? Like not everything lasts forever, as sad as that sounds. But like that's like a big thing. Work on yourself first and then see where you go from there.
Yeah. Great points being made. There's not much I can really add on to that. All in all, just don't be a trash human being, because you're just gonna that trashiness is just gonna seep into someone else if you deal with other people, and that's just gonna create more toxicity in the world. And we don't need more of that, bruh. Like, we're trying to diminish it as best as we can. Will that happen? I don't know. I'm more of a realistic person. If it does happen, probably not for a while. But I'm definitely looking forward for a change, in the lighter direction. And it's gonna be interesting in the next, like, say 10, 20 years, how this is gonna evolve with how people are being raised nowadays. Um, yeah, I'm gonna pray for the children in the future, because the toxic people nowadays, they're gonna have kids, and if they take after their parents, it's not looking good for the future. But it's good to be hopeful. Uh, you know, but yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
see.
I mean, obviously, you can't just completely wipe out every toxic person on this planet Earth. But like, honestly, like coming from somebody who's gone through so much like toxic relationships and friendships, like it comes to a point where it affects you too so much that you even become toxic. Like I went to like I literally had this moment where I did not care about other people's feelings. Like I didn't care. I would say whatever, and if it hurt their feelings, okay. If it didn't, good for them. Like I literally had that attitude because I was so tired of like being in such toxicity that like literally their toxicity rubbed off on me. And until like it came to this one person who has now become such like part of my everyday life, who I talk to every single day. I was toxic to this person. Like I completely ignored this person. And the following day, like we talked as like adults, and it made me realize like damn, like that was so unnecessary because this person is like the most sweetest human being I've ever met, and I'm very lucky to have this person in my life. And when I sat down and like communicated and like explained to them why I was being like that, they were like, okay, I completely understand you. Like, you have gone through so much, and I wouldn't blame you if you like acted that way, or you did that, or you said this. And it made me realize that like toxic people don't realize that their toxicity rubs off on other people. And like genuine people become so cold and they become toxic as well. It just spreads. Like the toxicity just spreads, and like no, like there's very limited amount of genuine people in this world. And although like those genuine people be like going through so much crap to the point where they're like, I don't care anymore. No, like I understand if you became like this cold toxic person because of so much crap that you went through, but like at the end of the day, like don't change. Like for example, me, like I changed for like a couple of months to this toxic person, and I was very toxic to people who did not deserve that. And now I'm just like, honestly, why did I change? Like I need to continue being my genuine person, even though some people don't deserve it, even though would always like end up on like a really bad note with somebody, or I would go through unnecessary things. Like, don't change if you're genuine. Like, try not to change. Try just be like, okay, I'm gonna take it as a lesson. I've learned my lesson. If I have to deal with this again, I know how to approach it. And, but toxicity comes in all types of levels. And I feel like I've dealt with enough toxicity to be like, it's honestly come to the point where like if something weird like comes up, I'm like, that's toxic. I don't want to fuck with this person anymore. Like it's so bad because of like the different types of toxicity that be coming in all levels. Like I just don't understand how something can come in all shapes and sizes, but they can. And like you just gotta like move on and like just take it as a lesson. Don't make it something that completely changes you as a person.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Again, there's not much I can add to that. You pretty much hit the nail on all those boards. But yeah, like just avoid toxicity. Be your genuine self if you are an uplifting person, and don't let someone else, you know, who's not, get to you. At least try your best not to do so. Um, or should I say to try your best to not let them get to you. If I messed up, sorry. But yeah, like I really hope the best for everyone who goes through this sort of thing, especially you, since I know you. I do really hope the best for your future endeavors, especially since now that you know you get like you got experience from those past relationships, and when you go to future ones, you know you'll know the signs, and then I'm sure you'll apply what you learn from them, so that in your future relationship, it can be better than the last. So that definitely hopeful for you, definitely hopeful for you and others who may be going through the same thing.
Thank you. And honestly, this is probably like something that I believe in, but if you believe in it as well, yay, we're twins. Whatever energy you put out there, eventually it's gonna come back to you. Like me, I think I have came to like my peace. Like I have very amazing people in my life. I'm talking to somebody who is so genuine, and like I said, they became like an everyday part of my life, and I can feel like how genuine they are as a person. And I've even like fixed a bond that I was so convinced was never going to get fixed. But like I said, communication is key, and like we sat down and we talked it out, and it was amazing. And like after that, I just felt very at peace. And I was like, for once, I don't feel any negative energy. For once, I don't have somebody who their toxicity is like bothering me, what I gotta worry about. Like, I'm very, very grateful for that. It took a fat minute, it took so much, but I think like it was all worth it at the end. Even though there are so many things that I'm still working on and healing from, I'm still very grateful that like now I'm at peace, and that now like I have people in my circle who I know are there for me no matter what, and that they love me and support me. And I'm very appreciative of that, and I'm very grateful. So, like, yes, just remember whatever energy you put out there, eventually it's going to come back. So, just make sure you put good energy out there. I know it can be difficult. And if you're like me, who constantly be going through things, unnecessary toxic things, eventually you'll be at peace, and eventually you will have that close circle, and you're gonna have people who genuinely love you and like support you. So although it can be hard, because I understand, just don't let that like completely change you, and don't let it like completely make you believe like the world is like terrible, because although it is terrible, there are still a good few things left in the world, and it will definitely like come back to you. So just keep putting good energy out there because it would eventually come back to you.
Yeah, in the wise words of J. Cole, I'm not gonna curse on what he said, but he's basically said, stuff gonna get hard. Keep your head strong. If you quit now, then you dead wrong. That's a hard bar. Just like live your, like basically, things gonna get tough, but you just gotta push through it. And like you said, the energy you output is gonna be inputted into your life at some point. So definitely just be patient and realize, with you putting that positive energy, it's gonna come back. Um, you know, so just be hopeful. Don't be like really pessimistic about it. Things might fall down on you, but just gotta pick yourself back up. It may take a while, but like you're making strides, and it's only gonna benefit in the future. So, shout out to the people that apply that.
Exactly.
For sure. All right, and I think we basically beat this conversation up like a dead horse or whatever that phrase is.
Well,
You said what?
well, damn.
I mean, what else is? I mean, was there anything else you wanted to add before we close it off?
Um, no. I think people can. I think there can be people who can relate to what I've said, and I am very curious. Whatever you guys have to say on this topic. I know it was about red flags and all this, but it kind of turned into like something else. But I really hope that somebody can like take in a little bit of what I've said and really like if you guys ever need like advice on whatever I just spoke about, you can be like, okay, here's a different perspective I can look back on. So yeah, whatever you guys opinions have on what I said, I would really like to know, and I'm curious if you guys want to add to it.
Be respectful, by the way. You know,
Be respectful, y'all, because respect comes a long way. Okay.
yeah, it's like we can disagree, but like what I'm saying, just like there has to be a mutual respect. What I'm saying, or else this is gonna lead into big toxic traits all over, and that's not nice. But yeah, let's have a healthy discussion about it. If you did reach this far into the podcast, I appreciate you. Be sure to like share around. Only if you like it though. So I'm not gonna force you to share it. If you didn't enjoy the podcast, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. So if you know people who encountered red flags, also maybe share them this video. They can output their opinions on the video version if you would like. And yeah, aside from that, was there anything else you wanted to say, Steph?
No, not really.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for joining into the episode of the Scrubs podcast. I really appreciate those who stuck with us this far. This is a pretty long episode. I might have to cut it a little bit. I know I have to cut some parts out, but yeah, for the most part, I'm glad that we had this conversation. When I say for the most part, I mean like, just not stuff that I didn't like or whatever. I'm just saying like, cause I had to edit because you had to leave for a second. But yeah, I'm glad that you came on for this episode, Steph. You're always a joy to talk to. You bring a good perspective to the podcast, especially with the the red flags and such. I wouldn't be able to speak much on it because I don't really deal with that sort of thing. But like with you being one of the people that do or have had experiences with red flags, it's good that you outputted that so someone else could hear that someone else experienced that. Say they're not alone. So we can all gain from each other's experiences. So yeah, again, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. As you know, I love being on here. I love talking about my perspective. And like, yeah, I really wanted to briefly touch about this because like, I know I've been through things and I've always wanted to hear from somebody else's advice. And when I do, it's really like okay, I'm not alone, or I need a different perspective. So like if anybody can take a little bit of what I said, then I hope it helps. And just keep thriving and be the beautiful human being that you are, and you guys will get through it. I promise you. Like, although it may be bad right now, you will get through it. And remember to always love yourself and to always put yourself first. And even always put out that good energy because it will come back to you. And thank you for having me again on your podcast. I really, really enjoy talking to you and like just talking about these subjects. I think you already know that I just love having deep conversation about things like this. So I really appreciate you always inviting me on here. It's really fun.
Like, it's definitely, you're always a joy to talk to, and I'm glad that we can have that documented on the podcast. And if you guys enjoyed yourselves, be sure to hit the like button on the video version. Be sure to share the audio version as well, or the video version. Share them all, because we can have this podcast grow exponentially if possible. If not, I don't care. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, I'm glad for the people who stuck with us through. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Again, thank you, Steph, for joining in on the podcast. And yeah, that was the episode 3. Have a good night or morning or afternoon. Have yourselves a great day. Thank you.